Good morning, YouTubers. Happy Friday. Reloading Bench back with you on what is now the last day of my New Year's vacation. So I will enjoy this Friday. Made myself a wonderful sausage egg biscuit breakfast, and now I'm raring to go. And I wasn't sure I was going to do any of this, but I thought I'd give you an idea of what I'm trying to accomplish. And this is for the base of the Ransom Rest. And this is the base that the guy I bought the unit off of had. And what I'm going to do is something very similar. So he had, 3/4 inch plywood, which I will cut and reuse because this is good plywood. But he had this so that he could bolt it into the shooting bench at his range, which is cool because then you have a very small footprint. And if you've seen the plate that comes from Ransom Rest that you're supposed to use their C-clamps for, it's huge. It's a BMF. So my thought was I needed something a little bit wider for the clamps that I would use, and then potentially I was going to put, and that's what these strips of steel are. So I picked up from the local shop a couple of steel flats, 1/8 of an inch by 1 1/4 by 3 feet, both 1/8 of an inch. And I'm gonna probably use this thinner one. And the idea that I'm going to do is, again, a little bit wider, so maybe a couple inches wider than this particular wooden bench or wooden block. And even though the cardboard is the same length, what I'm going to do is with my gazillion-dollar steel wooden sheet of 3/4 inch, less than 3/4 inch plywood, I'm going to bevel out the equivalent of that much, so that at the front and the rear of the block, or what I'm going to call my new base, is going to have this steel. I need a bigger workbench set inside the wood so that when I go to clamp, it's actually clamping on and pushing down on the steel as opposed to the wood, because the wood won't be strong enough. And I went with, after playing with measurements and design elements, I went with the smaller of the two. Subject to change this morning because I felt that that was just a little bit too big for my needs. So that one will probably go back to the store. And then obviously I think I'll use what's little left of this flat black to put a primer, and then my favorite coating of truck bed coating. And there's not a whole lot in here, so we might end up going to the store and getting some more of those. So that's today's task with the driveway activities of cutting some wood, some ripping and trimming, and doing a couple dado cuts to accommodate the steel plating. Then I will cut the steel plating, probably bead blast it. I don't know if I'm going to blue it or leave it in its native format, but if I leave it unfinished, it's going to rust, so I probably will blue it. But that's the plan for today. So event-filled, packed day, and more to come later. Good evening, YouTubers, fellow reloaders. Reloading Bench back with you once again. This is, I'll call it a midstream update of the platform redo for the Ransom Rest. And I don't even know where I put the old platform to show you a comparison. So this looks very comparable to my cardboard model in terms of size and idea. I think I'm off 1/4 inch on each one of these because I always cut big so that I can sand and cut down. But basically took two of the pieces of lumber from the sheet you saw before, glued them together, and then cut strips for feet, and actually reused the original screws that were in the previous mount that the guy had, and let that dry. Then shot it with a coat of primer black / paint. Can't find primer and a whole lot of paint anywhere. Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon. Then I went to look for truck bed coating, and that's out of stock everywhere. So I ended up getting Truck Bed Pro. So I shot the top with Truck Bed Pro, and then I took my steel flat, my 1/8 of an inch by 1 1/4 inch steel flat, cut those up into pieces, and drilled and tapped those, and then cold blued them so that those will go on the edges. And then I just got finished bluing and oiling the zinc panhead Phillips screws that will sink this into the base, and that will allow me to use C-clamps to clamp down on the metal as opposed to the wood, because once you start clamping wood, it's just going to compress and get all shitty. Then I'll probably do this last, put this grippy tape stuff on the underside of the feet. But what I thought I'd do for the edging is I have this giant oak leg from a desk, oak wood leg from an old desk that was thrown away years ago that I've had in the garage for a long time, and I've been slowly cutting those up. And what I think I'll do is I'll take maybe 1/4 inch or so and rip that, and then that will be you can't see what I'm doing. That will be the sides of the platform to dress that up. So the last question that I will probably have of myself is what finish for the oak, to leave it natural and just put a rubbed satin finish, a veneer on it, or go with like an ebony stain to keep the all black theme, because again, everything black, or to offset it with something like maybe a red mahogany. So I think what I'll do is probably take a small scrap piece of this wood, stain it with each one of the ebony and the I think I have a gun stock too, the red mahogany, gun stock, and ebony, and then see which one pops to my liking, and then I'll cut and adhere those, and then I will drill and mount the Ransom Rest on the platform. But I like how the truck bed coating came out. Always do. Truck bed coating is a very forgiving coating, so and I think that'll look pretty cool with the edging, and then the black screws that are now there will, I think, give it a nice accent and make it look pretty cool. So more to come. Hello YouTubers, fellow reloaders, Reloading Bench back with you once again. Making progress. Alright, so I played with my my 3 stains, and I took an old piece of that oak, an unfinished piece of the oak, and put a little bit on each one. And we had the ebony, we had the red mahogany, gunmetal. Yeah, that was gunmetal. So ebony, gunmetal, and red mahogany. And what I found interesting is I actually like the way the ebony looked on whatever, I don't know what wood they make these stir strips out of, sticks. So I'm going to abandon the idea of the oak, and I'm going with, I don't know what this material is. Is this pine? And then I'm going to make the sides so it'll look like that. across all 4 sides, stained, and with a probably a rubbed finish of probably semi-gloss satin. But that's what the finished product will, that's the idea. So we've got the deck done, the platform done, the metal banding on both sides, and the blued and oiled screws. And this is my template. This is probably the direction it will go. I'll pre-drill the holes so that I can use the Ransom Rest screws, and I'll do the same thing with the screws. I will cold blue those as well, so that the whole dark theme continues. And that's tonight's update. So we're getting closer, but the next few will be much slower, because I will stain these over the next few days. I've sanded them. They're not cut to size, they're cut long, so that I can stain them, adhere them, probably with glue and brad nails, so that they'll get a nice finish. You can see some of the wood is warped a little bit, so it'll take a little force to get that on there. But that'll be a nice finish when that is complete. So that's the plan. So as usual, more to come. We are out on the driveway this morning because there's no room on the workbench, due to the fact that I'm trying to, I don't know if I'd use the term recondition, how's that? Recondition and clean a 49-year-old Craftsman table saw model 113, the grandfather of table saws. But in terms of an update on the Ransom Rest, I've stained and cut the sides and the end pieces. Those came out quite nice. Not 100% dry, so another probably day of drying, and then a satin finish, so that those will go on. Let's see, this is the right side, so it'll go on like that, and they actually fit. And then I will trim, of course, to size, so that will look kind of like that when it's done. But first thing I'll do is coat it with satin, then glue and nail it, and then sand finish and restain the sides, and that should be done. And then for mounting the rest, I took the original Ransom Rest screws. You can see the original zinc. I blued those. And then I found these really cool washers that have a neoprene bottom. So that's what I'll use to secure to the rest. So that's the plan. And in between saw reconditioning and base improvement and other miscellaneous projects, that's where we stand right now. More to come. Here's where things currently stand on the Ransom Rest base. The sides have been applied and have dried, or they were applied and are drying. I'll probably shoot some brad nails in maybe 3 or 4 spots, just to keep things tight. And then I will trim these almost to size, and then sand the edges down, and then do the same thing with gluing, clamping, and then nailing. So the next update will probably be maybe sanding and fitting the sides before final glue and clamp. All right, there are, albeit a little dusty, sawdusty, there are the sides cut and nicely fit. Same thing there, pretty flush. And now it's glue time and adhere. So I am debating whether or not to shoot it with brad nails or not. I like the clean look, and even with a brad nail, I'll be able to cover the hole, but the hole will be there. So I'm thinking maybe no hole. So that's where it stands at the moment. A little more gluing, staining, and finishing to complete the sides, and then we'll focus on mounting the rest. We'll call this finishing touches. So if you recall, these were the original screws from the guy who whose base I bought this from, and I'll be covering these feet up with this tread tape, so it gives it some grippy grip. So we'll have to trim it and adhere it, and it comes out pretty good. So I think we'll be mounting the base later. Good morning, YouTubers. Reloading Bench back with you once again on this beautiful, brisk weekend morning. And as you can see, the Ransom Rest project has come to an end. This is feature-rich complete. Pop up, shoot, pop down. Obviously, this would be clamped, but that is it. It is complete. And I will pop the rest off so you can see what I did in terms of the base mount and how that turned out. But this project is done, and that was a pretty sweet deal. I think the gentleman who sold it to me knew it had issues, priced it accordingly, and then I ran with it. Base total cost of the base lumber was I think it was $13, $10 in paint, black primer, and additional truck bed because mine ran out. The flat steel was, I think, another $10. So what are we at? 25, 35. I'm gonna call it 40 bucks with the washers. So 40 bucks to build the base, the stain I had, and the trim I also had. So that is it. Let me pop the base, or pop the rest so you can see the base. All right, no shortage of background noise between airplanes and looky-loo drivers as I'm in the driveway. There is the base, exact on each front and rear, as well as left and right. And these were the original Ransom Rest screws, and then I picked up the neoprene backed washers so that it's not actually touching, the screw is not actually touching the base. It's backed with a bit of insulation. So that is it, and I'll show off the sides and the underside as well. I decided not to do the brad nails. I wanted to leave a smooth, what I would call clean look across all sides. And then for the underside, that was a light coating of truck bed, nothing heavy duty. And then the tread tape, so that it's got some grippy, and it's like a millimeter above most areas of this. So it's got some, it's got a little bit of friction to it, because this is a rather easy to slide surface, and the fact that it's not sliding easy tells me my grip tape is working. So the Ransom Rest is complete. And I forgot to mention that I've got my side-to-side rotation, as well as just being able to move the whole base. But for fine-tune adjustments, get it in place, lock it down. It's not going anywhere. Front's locked, and again, that is complete. End of project. Time for next.